If you're like me, you might have seen that Scion 2nd Edition is free currently on DriveThruRPG. Today I'm going to take a look at it and see what the hype is about. I'd like to thank my patron Echo. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you're familiar with Percy Jackson, American Gods, Sandman, or Pierce Anthony's Incarnations of Immortality, you might like Scion. It's all about taking the world of mythology and bringing it into the modern day in sort of an urban fantasy setting where all myths are real. Scion is created by Onyx Path Publishing, and if you're fast enough, you can pick it up for free at DriveThruRPG, link in the description below. If you're not fast enough, I'm sorry, you missed out. The setting for Scion is a modern day setting where the myths of the past are all true. There is no secret world aspect like in Chronicles of Darkness, and instead you might find devout Catholics praying to Odin so that their football team wins the Super Bowl, while they're still going to church every Sunday. And then you can also find libraries that are run by centaurs, and so on. It uses the story path system, which is similar but not identical to the one used by Chronicles of Darkness. Scions are mortals who inherit their powers from gods. Prior to their visitation from their godparent, they appear to be mostly human except for a minor supernatural power. As the Scion learns of their origin, they can begin to unlock more abilities. Fate binding is a condition that Scions and gods have that weaves a narrative around them. This is why Scions end up in dangerous situations, and if they aren't careful, their friends and family can get swept up in it too. This is why the gods have left the world and now reside in the overworld, essentially a heaven-like dimension that protects their followers from being swept up in their narrative. I don't have enough time to go over every aspect of the lore, so I apologize if I miss anything. The Titans are primal deities that are at odds with the gods. They have Titan spawn, which are their sort of version of Scions, except that they can be on par with gods. Only the weakest of the Titan spawn can usually appear in the world. There are three main aspects of the world. The world, in capitals, which is the reality on Earth. Then there is the overworld, which is where the gods reside, and the underworld, which is where those who believe in the gods go when they die. The system uses a 10-sided dice system, similar to Chronicles of Darkness in that you roll a dice pool made up of your attribute plus skill dots. But a success only happens when you roll over your target number, which by default is 8, but some abilities can change that. Some rolls may require multiple successes rolled in order to succeed. For instance, picking a more secure lock might need you to have 2 dice come up above 8 to actually succeed at the roll. If you get at least 1 success, you may be able to add additional successes to your roll through enhancement bonuses. This is commonly done with equipment bonuses such as having a crowbar to pry open a door. Complications are penalties that may apply if you succeed but not well enough, such as jumping off a building and surviving but you sprain your ankle. You can spend successes equal to the complications level to avoid the drawback. If you fail your roll, you can choose a consolation, but if you fail your roll and also roll a 1, you can only gain momentum. I'm going to explain this right now. Consolations are minor benefits you get for failing, such as gathering new information, meeting a new character, or getting a level 1 enhancement for a future roll. Momentum is a shared resource that all players can spend to add dice to a roll, to give more time to a complex action, or to activate knacks. Knacks are epic abilities characters can use, stuff that hints at your character being a Scion or something special. Scale is a modifier that gets applied depending on if the character is a normal person, supernatural, or stronger like a demigod or god. Stunts are additional benefits you get for rolling well. You spend successes on your roll to activate stunts. Character creation is pretty straightforward, but today I'm just going to quickly cover how character creation is done for pre-visitation Scions. These are Scions who are at the start of their journey. Keep an eye on the community page for when I go deeper into character creation. I'll make an announcement there. Start with your character concept and then pick 3 deeds which act as the goals for you to complete during the course of the game. 1 long, 1 short, and 1 related to the group. Select your paths: an origin, a role, and a pantheon or society they are affiliated with. This will affect how your skills get distributed. Each path is associated with 3 skills, and you then distribute 3 dots to all of your primary skills, 2 dots to all your 3 secondary skills, and 1 dot to all 3 of your tertiary skills. Each 3-dot skill also gets a specialty. All your attributes start at 1 dot already. Distribute your attribute dots across primary, secondary, and tertiary between your physical, mental, and social attributes. You have 6 to distribute to primary, 4 to secondary, and 2 to tertiary. You can then distribute 2 dots to any attribute that falls under your character's favored approach. Pre-visitation, you have to choose a calling from one of your divine patrons' 3 favored callings, which makes it seem more like if you are post-visitation, you can change this to a calling outside of their favored ones. You also gain a single mortal knack available to your calling. The final touches are calculating your defense and your health. Your defense is your highest resilience attribute without skills applied, and your health is a tracker that ranges from bruised to taken out. If you have more stamina, you get more bruised spots on the tracker to take more hits. For free, you can tweak your character after any session in a minor way, such as swapping dots that are both an attribute or a skill by 1, and swapping out a knack for a different one. Or you can gain a new short-term deed. I may need to do a future video on how combat works in Scion, but here are the broad strokes. Apologies if I have any mistakes in here. First, you need to roll for initiative, which is your highest combat skill plus your cunning. You can do one simple or mixed action a turn. A mixed action is when you do something minor like moving or unholstering a weapon while taking a simple action in the same turn. When you declare an attack, the target can take a defense action, or if they haven't been attacked yet this turn, a defensive stunt. A defense action means you can drop prone or stand up. A defensive stunt means you can boost your defense with a dice roll, dive for cover, or try to move away from your opponent. Your attack dice pool is a combat skill plus attribute. You can add enhancements to your successes if applicable. You can then spend successes on stunts based on the attack you did, such as do damage, knock a target prone, disarm the target, or score a critical hit, to name a few. You can then tally up the injuries you have caused with the inflict damage stunt and apply them to your target's damage tracker. Then we go to the next character's turn. Here are some quick descriptions I wrote of what some of these knacks can do. My favorite one right now is the one that allows me to wirelessly communicate with electronic devices, even ones that aren't actually wireless. Here is a list of how much XP you get for completing different tasks. It seems you should expect about 1 to 3 XP per session depending on what's going on. As you can see, you don't get XP for killing monsters. This game really is more goal-oriented, and if you're interested in what XP can get you, here's a list. You can increase your skills or attributes, you can change your character's favored approach, you can increase your birthright, you can also purchase a new knack or a specialty. So here's some tips for running Scion. Be ready to improvise. Stunts aren't something a lot of people are used to, especially if you've been playing Dungeons & Dragons. They're essentially feats that you can enact when you roll a skill check or an attack. The game is a lot more narrative focused than other games, so you should be aware of what your players expect from the campaign during your session 0. If they bring a hacker character with a long-term goal of reconciling with their sibling, be sure to include that sibling in a future session, or your player's going to feel like you just ignored their backstory. Short-term deeds and long-term deeds are there to help you prepare not only for your next session, but also for the future of your campaign. They are a roadmap to find out what your players want to do. To get your players to feel more like they're in a different world, be sure to explore the themes of the mundane being mythical. A mall security guard being a minotaur who knows the back hallways as if it's their labyrinth, or a nerdy succubus who would rather play Stardew Valley than go to a nightclub. So how would I run Scion? Scion depicts its setting as if normal people know and interact with mythical creatures on a daily basis. Technically, the players should already be aware of mythical creatures running around, so I'll prompt them to set a scene like they're going to work or getting a drink at a bar, and then I'll improvise or have them improvised based on that. So maybe they're talking to a boss who ends up being a demon, or the barista accidentally makes them a giant's coffee instead of a normal sized large. The focus should be on the characters' backstories as much as possible. Villains and rivals from the backstory will help establish a character's narrative. Maybe the Scion has a stepmother who is dragged into her narrative and has turned into a cold and bitter evil villain while also looking up the dark arts. I really like set pieces as well for various challenges, so maybe something along the lines of a Trials of Hercules to prove the player's worth for their inheritance from the gods. You can get Scion in the link down below. I have a Patreon. There's probably a video somewhere here. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.